Judaism history begins around 2000 BCE with a covenant between God, Elohim, and Abraham. Over 1,000 years later, as the Jewish faithful believe, God's Elohim's laws and commandments were revealed to Prophet Moses on Mount Sinai, forming the Torah, which is the first part of the Hebrew Bible. The Hebrew Bible, or Tanakh, and the ancient writings of the Talmud embody the beliefs and practices of Judaism. Present in every aspect of the religion is a single omniscient and compassionate God, Elohim. The Holy Tanakh's Book of Mishle, Proverbs, is the second book in Ketuvim writings, the third section of the Holy Tanakh. The full Hebrew title is Mishle Shlomo, or the Proverbs of Solomon, a reference to King Solomon, who is believed to be the book's author. Filled with succinct warnings and advice, the Book of Mishle is dedicated to giving right directions for those who seek their way to God. We now present to you from Judaism's Holy Tanakh, Book of Mishle, Proverbs, selection from chapters 20 to 23, 28 and 29, part 2 of 2. Chapter 23. If you sit down to dine with a ruler, you should understand well who is in front of you, and you shall restrain yourself. If you are a man with a hearty appetite, do not desire his delicacies, for it is bread of lies. Do not weary yourself to grow rich. Cease due to your own understanding. Should you blink your eyes at it, wealth, is not here, for it will make wings for itself, like the eagle, and it will fly toward the heavens. Do not dine upon the bread of a stingy person, and do not desire his delicacies, for it is as though it poured gall into his friend. So is he. He will tell you to eat and drink, but his heart is not with you. You will vomit out your morsel that you ate, and you will lose your sweet words. Do not speak into the ears of a fool, for he will despise the sense of your words. Do not remove an ancient boundary, and do not enter the fields of the orphans, for the Redeemer is mighty. He will plead their cause against you. Bring your heart to discipline and your ears to words of knowledge. Do not withhold discipline from a child. You will save his soul from the grave. My son, if your heart has grown wise, my heart too will rejoice, and my reins shall rejoice. When your lips speak right things, let your heart not envy the sinners, but fear of the Lord all day. For because of this there is a future, and your hope will not be cut off. Hear, my son, and grow wise, and walk in the way of your heart. Do not be among wine guzzlers, among gluttonous eaters of meat. For the guzzler and the glutton will become impoverished, and slumber will clothe you with tatters. Listen to your father who begot you, and do not despise your mother when she has grown old. Buy truth and do not sell, also wisdom, discipline, and understanding. The father of a righteous son will rejoice greatly, and he who begets a wise son will have joy with him. May your father and mother rejoice, and may she who bore you have joy. My son, give me your heart, and let your eyes keep my ways. Who cries, woe? Who, alas? He who has quarrels, he who talks too much. Who has wounds without cause? Who has bloodshot eyes? Those who sit late over wine, those who come to search for mixed wine. Do not look at wine when it is red. When he puts his eye on the cup, it goes smoothly. Ultimately, it will bite like a serpent and sting like a viper. Your eyes will see strange women, and your heart will speak confusedly. And you shall be like one lying in the midst of the sea, and like one lying at the top of a mast. They struck me, but I did not become ill. They beat me, but I did not know it. When will I awaken? I will continue, I will seek it again. Chapter 28. The wicked flee without a pursuer, but the righteous are as trusting as a young lion. Because of the sin of a land, its princes are many. But because of an understanding, knowledgeable men, so will its retribution be delayed. A poor man who oppresses the poor is like a flooding rain that leaves no food. Those who forsake the Torah praise the wicked, but those who keep the Torah contend with them. Men of evil do not understand judgment, but those who seek the Lord understand everything. A poor man who walks innocently is better than one of perverse ways who is rich. He who keeps the Torah is the son of an understanding man, but he who befriends gluttons puts his father to shame. He who increases his riches with usury and interest gathers it for him, who is gracious to the poor. He who turns his ear away from the hearing of the Torah, even his prayer is an abomination. He who misleads the upright in an evil way will fall into his own pit, but the innocent will inherit goodness. A rich man is wise in his own eyes, but a discerning poor man will search him out. When the righteous rejoice, there is much glory, but when the wicked rise up, a person will be searched out. He who conceals his sins will not succeed, but he who confesses and abandons them will obtain mercy. Fortunate is the man who is always afraid, but he who hardens his heart will fall into evil. A wicked man ruling over a poor people is like a roaring lion and a growling bear. A ruler who lacks understanding is a great oppressor, for he who hates unlawful gain will live long. A man who is guilty of robbing one's lifeblood will flee to the pit, but no one will support him. He who walks innocently will be saved, but he who is perverse in his way will fall in one. He who tills his soil will be sated with bread, but he who pursues vain things will be sated with poverty. A trustworthy man will have many blessings, but he who hastens to become rich will not go unpunished. To be partial is not good, but for a piece of bread a man will sin. He who hastens to acquire wealth is a man with an evil eye, and he does not know that want will come upon him. He who admonishes man after me will find more favor than he who speaks with flattery. He who robs his father or his mother and says this is not a sin is the companion of a destroyer. A greedy man stirs up quarrels, but he who puts his trust in the Lord will be greatly gratified. He who trusts his heart is a fool, but he who goes with wisdom will escape. He who gives to a poor man will suffer no want, but he who hides his eyes will have many curses. When the wicked rise up, people hide, but when they perish, the righteous increase. Chapter 29. A man who requires reproof but stiffens his neck will suddenly be broken without cure. When the righteous become great, the people rejoice, but when a wicked man rules, the people sigh. A king establishes the country with justice, but a haughty man tears it down. A man who flatters his friend spreads out a net for his feet. When a wicked man sins, there is a snare, and a righteous man signs and rejoices. A righteous man cares about justice for the poor. A wicked man does not put his mind to knowing it. Scornful men inflame a city, but the wise turn away wrath. When a wise man contends with a foolish man, whether he is angry or he laughs, he will have no contentment. Murderous men hate the innocent, but the upright seek his soul. A fool lets out all his wind, but afterwards a wise man will quiet it. A ruler who listens to false words, all his servants are wicked. A poor man and a man of deep thoughts were visited upon. The Lord enlightens the eyes of both of them. A king who judges the poor justly, his throne will be established forever. Discipline and reproof give wisdom, but a child left free brings shame to his mother. Chastise your son, and he will give you rest, and he will grant pleasures to your soul. Without vision, the people become unrestrained, but he who keeps the Torah is fortunate. If you see a man hasty with his words, there is more hope for a fool than for him. A quick-tempered man stirs up strife, and a wrathful man abounds in transgression. A man's haughtiness will humble him, but one of humble spirit will grasp honor. He who shares with a thief hates his soul. He hears an oath but does not testify. A snare brings terror to a person, but he who trusts in the Lord will be safeguarded. Many seek the countenance of a ruler, but the judgment of a person is from the Lord. An unjust man is an abomination to the righteous, and a person whose way is straight is an abomination to a wicked man. Compassionate viewers, we appreciate your kind presence. On today's episode from Judaism's Holy Tanakh, Book of Mishle, Proverbs, selection from chapters 20 to 23, 28 and 29, part 2 of 2 on words of wisdom.